Okay, how do Burndown charts work and who owns it? Whose job is it to keep it up to date? Well, first of all, you don't need to use them. Okay, so if you sat there thinking, oh, should I be doing this? Is it a thing? No, you don't have to. But it's probably worth understanding what it is and why we used it. Certainly in my case, because I don't really teach or recommend them anymore, but they're still a popular tool to help with planning. A Burndown chart is a very simple idea. At the start of a sprint, you have so many days and you have so much work to complete. Say, and we'll keep the math simple for me, you've got 20 points of work in your sprint backlog and you're in a 10-day sprint, you've got 2 weeks. You're going to burn down about 2 points a day. So you'll draw a graph, 10 days across the bottom, 20 points up the side, and there'll be an ideal line that starts at 20, ends at 0, reducing by 2 days. You'll see this flight path going down the graph. And then every day you look at how much work is left to do, how many points of your stories still need to be done, and mark it off. Okay? So what we're doing there is making a very visual representation of the state of play for the team. What we can see is if we're above that line, that ideal line, right, we're behind schedule. Maybe that's okay, but it's worth noticing that we're 5 days into a 10-day sprint and we're not about halfway through the work we should have done. Okay? That's a trigger for a conversation about, are we on track? Are things actually okay? Or are we below the line? Are we ahead of schedule? And do we need to start thinking about bringing more work into the sprint? Sorry, I got distracted in the middle of that by a thing popping up. So this is what we're using this chart for, is a way to record as a Scrum team, are we ahead of schedule, are we behind schedule, or are we, rarely the case, but are we on schedule? Okay, so who's going to maintain that? Well, I'm going to cheat and I'm going to go back to the default answer in all of this. It's on the whole Scrum team. Many people will look at the ScrumMaster and say, well, obviously it's them. But why? How is that helping the team create an environment where they can succeed? It's about planning. It's about knowing where they are and where they need to go next. So ScrumMaster might do it, but it's not only them. Actually, it's more important for the developers. So they want to do it. Maybe they've got time. It's not hard. I used to do it on a flip chart, and every day you'd put a cross, you'd connect the line, and you'd check it on the graph. But maybe it's the product owner. They need to know, am I telling my stakeholders that stuff's coming into sprint review or not? Am I concerned that I'm getting enough out of the sprint? Do we need those conversations now, or can we wait a few days? So everybody involved has a piece of the pie. So who updates it? Who keeps it fresh? That's really for the team to decide as a whole. What I would say is, don't immediately assume that the Scrum Master is going to do it. Actually, they're the least interested in that information. The developers are going to want to know, are we on track? Do we need to start considering our stories at risk? Are we going to need to pull work in before the end of the sprint? The product owner is going to want to know similar information to manage stakeholder expectations. The Scrum Master is only going to want to know that to reflect it back to the wider team. You're on track, you're running behind, whatever that conversation is, and to ensure that conversation's happening. Really, who updates it, it doesn't matter. Okay? As long as if you're using it, you are updating it. And I would recommend just before your daily Scrum, make sure it's up to date so that as a team you can look at it and you can say, are we on track? Are we going to deliver our sprint goal, or do we need to have a conversation as part of the daily Scrum to plan properly for the next day? If you've got to this point in the video, I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, a like would be appreciated. If you want to hear more from me, more answers to questions that maybe you've got in the Agile world, please subscribe to the channel. And if you've got a question that you really want answered, drop it in the comments. I promise we'll get around to it. Thank you.